Guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you doing? So this is the second video I uploaded yesterday, and I said this video have a lot of stitch. This is the stitch that was still coming along with this video this guy did. Keep watching, guys.
I was thinking something today, and I bet a lot of immigrants laugh at a lot of Black Americans.
It is insane to me how ever since we freed ourselves from slavery, we have fought tooth and nail across this country to protect our towns, our businesses, and everything that we've created so we could be safe and secure. Just for the same descendants of the people that have been benefiting off of the civil liberties that we fought for in 1964 to come over here and tell us to our face that we haven't fucking done enough. Ever since we freed ourselves from slavery, we've been making towns, businesses all across this country just for that to be taken away. Towns being flooded, people being killed, people being lynched in freaking huge mobs, and people are trying to tell us that we haven't worked hard enough. Our grandparents that fought in the civil rights era, that are still alive today, are watching the descendants of the people that they fought for spewing venom right back into the face of their children, saying that we haven't fucking worked hard enough. We haven't worked hard enough. I would have never been here if the ancestors of my mother didn't fight so that my father could come over here and create me. The fact that you guys think you're such on this fucking high horse that you know what it's like to be a Black American, and you're just telling us that we should be farther. Like what? It's just fucking disgusting.
Not American. I do not understand so much about the social fabric of this country, but here is my takeaway about this. So basically, I'll categorize it into like three basic things. One, the mass incarceration of Black people. Two, the education system. And three, the family unit. Study shows 1 in 3 Black men are likely to be arrested once in their life in America. This eventually interferes with your employment and your social status in the society. Also, study shows 38% of Black men are arrested yearly, as opposed to 2.9% of white people. This highly contributes to the increase in crime and the increase of poverty in Black neighborhoods. Therefore, it also interferes with the family unit. Study shows 72% of Black women are single mothers. Can you imagine? 72% of Black women are single mothers, which eventually interferes with their work schedules, with their productivity, let's just not lie to each other. America is the hardest place to raise a family as a single mother, because also the community unit does not really exist. According to the Brown versus the Board of Education, it shows that racial segregation during the Jim Crow era is constantly affecting the education system in Black neighborhoods. It's underfunded by about $2,700 per kid every single year. This then hinders the growth of career to these Black kids in this Black neighborhood. As opposed to, let's say I'm African, as opposed to this demographic, as Africans, 69% of African families have degrees, which means they're living in better neighborhoods, they're living better lives. Imagine being hated and being undermined, being racially segregated over so many generations. And these things constantly affect you in your future life. And people want to compare you to somebody whose life is structured in a different way. For example, in other countries, it is easier to start a business, and it is a mentality that is there. And people think.
You see, as an immigrant, I understand that. I've been part of the group that has laughed behind closed doors at Black Americans. Look at what I've accomplished myself in my own personal life. It's not big, huge, but it's substantial enough for me to say, why can't Black Americans do this, right? Well, there is a catch to it. When you've been living in America since birth, you've been doing things. You haven't been sitting idle. You've been going to school. You've been walking the street, getting arrested for no reason. Sometimes you don't even understand the justice system and else. So what does that create, right? Well, it creates a record. When you're an immigrant, you come here with something powerful. Your Social Security is clean. No court record, no bad marks on credit, nothing that could count against you. So when you go to apply for a job, housing, like an apartment lease or a mortgage, when you check your record for the HOA, for that neighborhood to be accepted, or for that job to hire you in the interview process, guess what? As an immigrant, nothing comes up. If you made it to the United States, most likely the embassy checks your record in your home country, which is most likely to be corrupt. So you probably paid in some ways for a clean record, even if you never did anything wrong. You still probably paid. That's how it works outside of the United States, right? So you come here with a clean record. Guess what? Your credit also is anew. Even if you borrowed a lot in your home country and never paid, you come to the United States with the same bad habit, except no one knows. You have a true second chance, something an African American will never have. As a teenager, you make mistakes. As a young adult, 18 years old, you make a lot of mistakes because your Social Security is yours, your credit cards are yours, and every single one of these things will leave a mark that will count against you when you go apply for something serious to make your wealth. And this is what happened. African Americans makes a lot of mistakes when they're young, just like anyone else, because they don't have the guidance that most white families that have been entrenched in the system do. So us immigrants will sit on our pedestals and judge them, when really we've been given a clean slate and we've taken full advantage of that clean slate. So immigrants, let's look within in retrospective and respect the fact that these people here, this African American here.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this video for a minute now, because when I saw it the first time, I immediately thought, oh yeah, this is just another example of the modern minority myth beating y'all niggas' asses yet again. That should be throwing Mike Tyson hamburgers on y'all niggas. It be knocking on niggas out in the jaw in the first round type shit. You know what I'm saying? But then when I thought about it some more, I thought, oh yeah, white people created the modern minority myth so that they can convince other people to not apply cause and effect when it comes to black people. He literally said in his video that we blame ourselves for not being successful on shit that happened 300 years ago. Like, is that not fucking crazy to y'all? Like, just blatantly leaving out context and acting like nothing else happened to black people after 1865. You know, acting like these systems that were created back then don't affect the now is crazy. And on top of that, all these little races get told to never forget their history, but for us, we get told to forget it and that we have a victim mentality.
This to the immigrants or the children of immigrants who are in the comment section agreeing with him that black people are so lazy and unwilling to work. If you guys are so much smarter and better than black people in this country, how come your countries back home are in shambles? Surely, collectively, if you guys are so much smarter, you would have been able to make your country work. Why did you have to come here? You're standing on the shoulders of the people who literally paved the way for you, and you call them lazy. There's a woman in the comment section who said something like, oh my God, I can't believe the opportunities that were here. It was so easy for us to get it done. How do you think that is? You came right in time for the pickings, when all the labor was done, when all the nooses were put away, when all the swimming pools were filled with dirt, and after integration started, redlining is still happening to this day, after the discrimination ended, after Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and JFK got their brains blown out. You came after all that stuff, after all the work was done. So now you get to sit there and say these dumb blacks are so stupid they can't even do what we were able to do. I see a lot of Indian people in the comment section, and the majority of y'all have a fucking problem, man. y'all have an issue, but you have a class system in your country, so I guess. But the African people in the comment section, whose countries have had the same problem as our country, I'm really taken aback, because it's like y'all are agreeing and saying, oh yeah, see, it was so easy, it was great. They're so lazy. My families say this to each other all the time. Why can't they do it if we did it? Y'all didn't come doing integration. Y'all didn't come when they were burning down black communities and hanging black people. Y'all didn't come at that time. So this dummy here, his whole page is about anti-blackness and just saying negative stuff about black people all the time. The people in the comment section eat it up, especially like I see a lot of Asian and white people in there all the time, just like loving the things he says, because that's how they think. A lot of people are like, oh, see, you say the things I can't say out in public. Of course you can't. This lady says, African Americans need more role models like you. Stay positive and keep sharing. I think this is an Indian lady or whatever. She says, mic drop. Just an American living in Brazil. This girl says, just say you are lazy and move on. She's having so much fun with her friends, though. This is the exact reaction, to be honest. You got it pretty right. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And I haven't even mentioned Reagan.
Watch his video for full context, but he's basically talking about how immigrants come here with less than nothing. They don't speak the language. They work really hard and they get money. Whereas people who were born here speak the language. They just with less hurdles to overcome. They don't make as much money. And this is a point that I've been saying for a long ass time. Because honestly,
you know what's embarrassing is black men utilizing Africans and other people in different countries as a fucking success story to shut down black people. That's hell of embarrassing. Because what they're not telling you is, number one, they're here on a fucking visa, which means America's making money. Number two, they come here, learn an education, and they go back, because universally speaking, if you get an education in America, it's pretty much recognized across the fucking globe. They go back home, they utilize the verification to set up a fucking business. It also creates a financial connection. They don't tell you that. They're just utilizing their skin color. Well, if Africans can do it, you can do it. Wrong. You know why? Because at the age of 45, when I was in elementary school, I was watching a white guy beat Kunta Kinte and make him convert his name over to Toby. That was my introduction to American history. I was reading books where they were calling the indigenous people savages. Those seeds are planted in black Americans' minds at an early age. Reading books stating how white people created everything fucking great. Africans in Africa, they're not taught that. Their lineage isn't our lineage here in America. They might go through their own shit, but it's not ours. Because our history started here in America. So when these damn clowns say, well, you know, my buddy from Nigeria came here and did great, out fucking standing. But he came here on a clean slate. His impression of America is the marketing aspect of America. You can come here and be anything. Also, motherfuckers look at Africans and other people from a different country as exotic. Oh, wow. Because of their imagination and what they see on media. So an African comes in, they're, oh, wow. Oh my God. Well, if you can do it, how come black folks can't do it? Stop trying to connect Africans with black Americans. We're not the fucking same. If I was to go to Nigeria, I would probably excel because I come on a clean slate, not bogged down by the shit the Nigerians had to go through. Stop disrespecting and denouncing and invalidating black folks' success by way of an example using someone who's from fucking Africa, because we're not the fucking same. Fucking coons.
Well, then you bet wrong, pussy. You just bet wrong, innit? First things first. Niggas that make this case, right? Niggas that make the whole immigrants come here with nothing and they're still doing better than African Americans know absolutely jack squats about fucking immigration. Do you know how hard it is? Do you know how hard I had to scrub to get even a fucking visa signed? Like, if you came here as a kid, respect to you, innit? I came here and had to do my visa shit again after 18. That shit is difficult. It also costs money. So you're clearly not coming here with nothing. They also fucking require you to say, hey, Do you know you have to pay here? And does that mean you have the money to sustain yourself and or your family? Immigrants haven't come here with nothing since maybe the 1980s. Stop using them as an agenda against African Americans. Stop being a coon, pussy.
I believe you should not think something ever again. Don't think of something tomorrow. Don't think of something the day after tomorrow. Just remain thoughtless.
I'm going to introduce myself. Anybody who sees this probably knows me. If not, just scroll down on my page. I believe this is what you call cognitive dissonance. And it is a shame that we have to do this yearly, every other year. I don't know. I think I've been on the internet talking about something similar for the last almost 10 years. But a new take. People like this occur very frequently. But why? Is there a cognitive processing issue? Maybe a genetic defect, a trait, perhaps? Or is it a simple case of nurture, or nature versus nurture? I could tell this man, who's coming over here? Who do you think is coming over here? Do you think it's people that are complacent? If you're complacent, you're going to stay where you're at. Unlike our former president said, it's not the worst of the worst coming over here for better opportunities. It's usually the best of the best, or at least people who have goals and strive for better that don't have the privilege to get it in their own country. So to answer his question, or rhetorical questions, culture, education, opportunity, and to bring us full circle, genetics.
Please, don't wonder, don't worry, don't ponder, please don't have no thoughts on it about how we feel or how we don't feel. If you want to talk to your people direct and don't go through the corners. Because I just can't understand. Like, you want your people to be better. That's fine. You want your people to rise up. You want your people to stop doing this, stop doing that. You, as an African American male, you have every right to check your people on the things that they are and that they are not doing. But what you cannot do is use immigrants to push white supremacist talking points. Because in essence, what we see that's happening is that we see Indian people in your comment section talking about, oh yeah, my people been here 2-3 years. It's the same Indian people in their country. In 2023, they still got a caste system. In their country, their people are warning them, men and women, to make sure they don't marry anybody that's black-skinned or dark-skinned. So they need to go be worrying about that instead of be worrying about why African Americans are not where they should be in this country. Because it's so funny how a lot of people are in your comment section saying those things. These are the same people who are known racist. This very same people who want to be justified in their racism. So of course they're gonna try to say things like, "Oh, why they're not doing anything? Why they're not where they're supposed to be?" And they pretend they don't understand the historical context and the systemic racism that has happened in this country to your people. So yeah, check your people all you want, but to use white supremacist talking points to do it is quite absurd, if you ask me. Because all I see here is booty clapping, tip drill, 2003 style, BET uncut. That's what I see you doing for white people and other non-black people. So it's very weird. It's very strange because me, I'm black. As you can see, I'm Haitian, but I love all my black people. You see, every other month is a diaspora war on here, but at the same time, it don't stop me from loving them and wanting to see them do better. Yes, I want them to do better. Absolutely. It doesn't make me happy to see them in certain situations that they shouldn't be in or whatever. But I can never sit there along with non-whites and be discussing this. No, I don't have those type of conversations with people who are not black. Our ancestor, our forefather, revolutionary leader for our country, wanted Haiti to be a safe space for all black people to come and live in as a free nation. So for me as a Haitian, especially on Haitian Heritage Month, it is my duty to ensure I check any person coming in with any other nonsense rhetoric about other black people. And you are dead wrong. And for the immigrants that are, especially the black immigrants who are in the comment sections saying, yes, I agree, I'm ashamed of y'all. Because this man, he is Candace Owens' brother. I just go through his page and you will see he is Candace Owens' brother. Looking for the approval of white people. Because if not, why else would you be liking their comments?
Some of y'all have a sick obsession with trying to call black Americans lazy. And it's just weird to me. Roll a clip.
Something today, and I bet a lot of immigrants laugh at a lot of black Americans.
Number one was you thinking something today. Nobody asked you to do that. Mistake number 2 was trying to compare black Americans to black immigrants. Because for what? But anyway, let's skip to the good.
You see people that were born here with every opportunity that you dreamed about having and moved your family across the world from, and they're busy blaming the fact that they're not successful on the things that happened 200-300 years ago to their grandparents, their great-great-great-grandparents, right? I don't understand how immigrants don't look at that and they're not like, oh my God.
I love how y'all try to equate being born in America to access to privilege and power, when we all know that there are systems of oppression that constantly work against black Americans day in and day out. And then y'all continue to try to perpetuate this narrative that slavery was the only system of oppression, which by the way happened 400 years ago, which lets you know that the American school system is failing black people. But y'all try to perpetuate this narrative that slavery was the only thing that was brought against black people throughout our entire history in America that does not allow us to progress. And outside of the fact that that narrative was completely anti-black, it was also absolutely divisive in a way to try to separate black Americans from immigrant black folks in America. So this American dream narrative that folks from outside of America come to America believing is actually just not true. And the experience of black Americans cannot be compared to the experience of immigrant black people in America. And that's just the end of it. Now, I'm sure that you already knew all this, but it doesn't matter because your goal was to be divisive and to make black Americans look bad. Yeah, no.
Because he is actually the textbook example of how you can be black and still be anti-black.
If by anti-black you mean I want us to die less of heart disease, I want us to stop killing each other at the rates that we...
Hey, good morning, Tom. First off, that's not what you said. What you said was this.
You know, I was thinking something today, and I bet a lot of immigrants laugh at a lot of black Americans.
And you didn't just stop there. You followed it up with this.
Family across the world from, and they're busy blaming the fact that they're not successful on the things that happened 200-300 years ago to their grandparents, their great-great-great-grandparents, right? I don't understand how immigrants don't look at that and they're not like, oh.
The question now becomes, what is there to laugh at? What is funny? Because last I checked, black unemployment is less than 5%. So if more than 95% of a certain demographic is working, what is there to laugh at?
Free ourselves. The North did, which was white men fighting.
Are you talking about the same North that compromised in 1877, effectively ending Reconstruction as we know it? Are you talking about the same North that segregated their cities just like the South? Are you talking about the same North that redlined all of their cities to make it harder for black people to get resources, to go to better schools, to get jobs? But let's talk about this 200-300 years ago thing. America is 266 years old. From 1776 to 1965, 189 years had passed, or 65% of America's history. During that 189 years, black people did not have any rights. So for 2/3 of our existence in this country, we effectively had 0 rights. Now, just a few years after the Voting Rights Act was passed, my father was born. Do you seriously think that the things that happened around the time my father was born aren't going to impact us today? Let me ask that another way. Do you really think that the people who were having babies around that time were not teaching that same racist ass rhetoric to their kids, just like their grandparents and parents taught to them? But let's talk about post-1965. Post-1965, we still have redlining, war on drugs, mass incarceration, and a host of other societal barriers that the United States government placed in front of black people. Now, if you cannot understand those things, that is not an indictment on me. That means that you are maladapted to critical thinking. So I'm going to ask you this one more time. What is there to laugh at? And on a side note, yesterday I had asked in my caption, where's Dr. Umar when you need him? And I found him. Here's what he has to say.
It only takes a little bit of white brainwash to activate the coon chip in the average Negro.
Have a blessed day, Tom.
Well, as an immigrant, let me tell you that you would fucking lose that bet. Quit bringing us immigrants into your bullshit. The other day, when the cops stopped me for walking my dog in my own fucking neighborhood, do you think he gave a shit what country I was from? He was the best man for a buddy who moved to Podunk, Missouri so that his wife could be closer to her family. Despite the fact that he is the kindest, most gentle person I have ever met in my life. At 6'2", 260, do you think anybody in that town gave a shit that he was from Kenya and spoke Swahili? I'm applying for loans, when I'm interviewing for a job, when I'm walking through a store, nobody gives a shit that I have a green card and can speak French Creole. Black
is black. So no, the vast majority of us immigrants do not see ourselves as higher than African Americans because day in and day out, we are experiencing the same shit. The small minority of immigrants that would tell you otherwise are akin to white women that uphold the patriarchy and conservative LGBTQ people. That is to say, they don't know poop from applesauce, and if they had a quarter more wit, they would be half-wits. So can you and the rest of the Coon Brigade leave us out of your shit? Check with the Ukrainians or the Cubans. They might be interested. The rest of us are not.
So I thought I'd join in as someone who has one African-American parent and one Latino immigrant parent. It's something that I talk with my grandma and my dad a lot about, so I understand their side of the immigrant perspective. Now I can say this, their opinions do not speak for every single immigrant, but I also know a lot of other immigrants who agree with this opinion. What's crazy to me is how you don't understand, out of all the people in the world who would understand being in a country that makes it hard for you to be successful, it would be immigrants. The reasons that people immigrate from their country to America is because there's something going on in their country that is stopping them from being successful. And a lot of times it's systemic, whether that's oppression or lack of food or inflation or violence. So for you to sit here and say, oh, I bet immigrants think, wow, black people are so lazy, kind of disregards the entire experience before immigrating to the United States.
Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you have not yet subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe. Just feel free to leave your opinion down below what you think about this video. And don't forget to turn on your notification too. Anytime I upload a video, you will be notified. Bye bye.